So here we are in Finale Ligure for the second round of the Mountain Bike Marathon World Cup, and it's pretty warm here, but it's pretty spectacular. Definitely a proper mountain biker's course, I think. So flew in yesterday morning and the lovely Liam picked me up from the airport, which saved me a lot of trauma trying to lug a massive heavy bike box on trains and around the city, which just wasn't going to happen. So he dropped me off at my apartment, which was very kind of him, and just had a quick pootle about yesterday. Nice swim in the sea, which was real good, and yeah, kind of getting everything ready for a course recce today. So right now we're 7.5 kilometers in, 100 meters of climbing, and that means we've got another 900 meters to go of climbing before I can finally go downhill. But it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be a hard start to the race though. So my arm's getting tired, so I'm gonna put this down and check in later. It's been an hour and a half solid uphill. Done 920 meters of elevation, 18 kilometers, and finally I can see the descent on the map. We get to go downhill. I'm so excited. I'm so done with this fire road. It is going to be a really hard start. All about the pacing, all about the nutrition. Just got to get it right. And nutrition's actually something that you need to get it bang on this course, but also I think it's going to be quite difficult because the feed zones are a little bit awkward. I mean, marathon racing logistically is complicated anyway, because you've got to have someone getting between all the pits. But feed zone 2 and 4, which are in the same place, you're only allowed access to before the race, and after that point you're not allowed cars in and out, and it's a 2.5 kilometer walk in to get to it. So by the time someone's parked, walked in, handed you a bottle, they're going to miss you at the next feed zone. So it's working out whether you carry more bottles on your bike, or if you stop for 30 seconds and pick up an organiser bottle, or get them to fill up your water bottle. But the problem is, by the time we get there, all the men have gone through, 150 men, and a lot of them don't have feeders, or, you know, from the middle of the pack they won't. So that's already 70 people that have taken bottles from the organisers, and there's never any left by the time we get there. So it is a bit of an issue, but I think it's just something I have to work out. And luckily Torque do some really nice little sachets of energy drink mix, so I think I'm going to carry a few of them. I've got a few different flavours. Got a bit of blackcurrant, a bit of the Coca-Cola, which has the caffeine in it. That should give me a bit of a kick if I need it. Yeah, and then I can pour them into a load of water at least and keep going. But yeah, I think just going to have to carry a whole bunch of gels and be prepared to stop, hopefully on a course like this where there's so much climbing and the descents, but I haven't been down any yet, but the descents are not just fire roads. It probably won't come down to like minute gaps like it kind of was at Nove Mesto. So actually stopping for 30 seconds at a feed zone probably isn't going to affect your result much. I'm hoping, but we will find out. So we're nearly at the road, 280 metres from the road, where we go along it for about 100 metres and then slot off down some single track, hopefully. Woohoo! Descent, I'm ready for it. And here we go, downhill again. Oh, relief. Woohoo! Love seeing one of those arrows. Inside would be better there. Towards feed zone 2, which is going to be the complicated one, and at best I'm going to have a bottle there and maybe an inner tube. So part of this descent is definitely going to be about like keeping it smooth and like just going as fast as you can while not getting any punctures. Back there it was actually quite rough, well, rough when you've got XC suspension and tyres. So I have got an insert in my rear tyre, so hopefully that'll help alleviate any pinch flaps, but you've still got to be careful. Like, you don't want to, it's just, you know, wasting time for no reason. Save yourself 30 seconds on a descent only to have to waste 5 minutes trying to change tube because you haven't got a wheel at speed zone. I guess that arrow back there was not pointing this way, but the other way. Up we go. Bit of a slip down the front wheel.
So that front wheel slide there, it turns out actually wasn't entirely my fault. Later on that afternoon, we just pootled down into town to go and get ice creams and some spare gas canisters from the shop because you're not allowed to fly with them. And as I wandered down the hill from our apartment, I was just dragging the front brakes, and you could feel it, the brakes pulsing and grabbing more on the rotor and then releasing it. And it was really quite severe. No matter how hard you pulled the brakes, it was just doing it all the time, which was obviously causing sort of this issue, and causing the front wheel to slide every so often, because this isn't the only time it happened to me that day. And so I changed the pads, I put my spare wheel in and checked it again, and absolutely fine, perfect. So there was either something was contaminated somewhere. And I think what had happened was, when we were in Nove Mesto, Neil went out for a ride and using that set of wheels, and it had actually just sort of the jankiness, or not the jankiness, but like the constant high frequency bumps in Nove Mesto had caused our locking keys on the brake pads to come loose, and it had just fallen out. And so he'd lost the front brake pads, and as he went to pull the front brakes down a fire road descent, nothing happened. So he was obviously pumping and pumping the brakes, trying to get it to come back. And eventually it just threw a piston out, and therefore threw loads of oil all over my disc rotor. So even though we cleaned it really extensively with proper brake cleaner, I think it was still contaminated, and unfortunately that's what's caused this issue. So I had to go out and buy a new one, which was really frustrating because I didn't have a spare, but a hell of a lot better than having dodgy brakes in this race when there's so much descending. So thank God that got fixed, and thank God I noticed it, because it would have been a little bit scary otherwise. So just goes to show, sometimes you just can't clean things, you just need to sort them out properly. Yeah, that's the end of that descent.
So it's Saturday morning now, and it's pretty hot here, to be honest. It's every day it just seems to be getting hotter and hotter, and there's no wind at all today. So hopefully it's not like this tomorrow. To be honest, I'm hoping that these thunderstorms come in and actually, make all the trails wet, because that's a lot better for us UK guys than for the Europeans. We're used to a bit of slop, but somehow I doubt that's going to happen. It's quite sweaty here, especially in this cave. All the sun's coming right at us, and it's a proper sun catch here. And so it's, getting really hot. But the trails are really good fun, and we've just done we got dropped off at the last feed zone, which is at 90 kilometres. So we've just done the 6k, and we're about to drop in for the last 3k. And these trails seem quite a lot different actually from the ones we've had up till now. So certainly on the first half of the course, the trails are quite sort of built and flowy with lots of berms and things, whereas these ones are a lot more natural, going down old footpaths. So there's really, really loose cobbles or slippy cobbles, and it's really sort of changeable, going from really fast and smooth to cobbles really, really quickly. Which is good fun. You have to pay attention. It's going to be hard at the end of a race. Good fun really. It's going to be a really, really tough day on the bike, but I'm looking forward to it. But the other reason I've stopped here in particular is to just show you the really cool rock formations here. It is pretty epic. So it's a really unusual rock landscape here, in that originally, bedrock is originally sandstone. So it's a sedimentary built from millennia of sort of deposits on the seafloor floor bed, which leads to this sort of sandstoniness. But then it's gone through volcanic activity, which has made these sedimentary rocks, exposed them to really high heats, and they've become metamorphic. So we've got this lower layer of metamorphic rocks, and then on top of that, it's become sedimentary again. As the ocean has come on top, we've got loads of limestones. So all of this up here is all limestone. And that's leaving you with these really, really cool rock formations with lots of fossils in it, lots of shells you can see. And it erodes in really odd ways, leaving you with lots of caves as well, which makes the rock climbing here pretty damn amazing. Going back to my previous life before bikes got involved, it's making me quite keen to get some ropes out. So I'm quite jealous seeing all the climbers out today. But the trails are mint as well. So yeah, it just makes this place like a hotspot for any sort of outdoor activity, which is pretty amazing. No matter what you want to do, I definitely recommend coming here. Yeah. So we're going to ride the last 4K now. And yeah, crack on, recover before race day. Ciao.
So this race unfolded quite differently to Nove Mesto. It had a neutralised start to begin with. So we had 5 kilometres of being escorted up the road at a nice pace. Everyone had time to settle in. And then when we got to the slot right to go up the climb, they let us all go, and everyone brought out their big guns. So it accelerated quite hard, quite quickly. And being the first race I've done with this much climbing, with climbs that are this length, I kind of kept it at a lower pace than I was maybe capable of. But it just, I've learnt a lot from that in itself, and I think I could do that a lot better next time. So I think I was, like, by the top of the first climb, I was maybe 25th or something. And it took us an hour to get to the top of the first climb. So by this point, the vets who had been set off 10 minutes behind us had started to catch us. I think 4 of them went past on the fire road, and then we slotted into this tight, narrow, single track section where it was going up and down all the time, quite steeply, and it was quite difficult to get past anyone. And I was just about to catch some people, because it's quite similar to what we ride here, that sort of section in the UK. And I was managing to ride it quite well, so I just managed to catch the 2 girls in front of me. And then the vets caught me, and the bloke that caught me first just kind of forced his way past, and properly shoved me off the track, and I had to put my foot down, and I think I had to get off my bike and then get back on it again. So by that time, there was just a massive gap again, which was really frustrating. And it's only one bloke, but that's the thing, that everyone else was really lovely and got out the way if we caught them on descent, or were patient if not. But it's really frustrating that this one guy did that, because that's what you remember, isn't it? But anyway, yeah, so I didn't manage to get past the girl in front of me there, and then it was kind of a long fire road descent, and everyone was going about the same speed. So it wasn't until we got to the long enduro descents next that I managed to make up a couple of places. And I think that's one of the nice things about, I don't know if it's the same in the men's races, but in the females races, if you catch someone or someone catches you, everyone seems to be quite polite and enthusiastic and actually move out the way if someone catches you on a descent and they're that much faster than you. So both these girls that I caught up just straight away got out the way, and it didn't slow any of us down, because there were areas where you could move and just overtake on the inside. So that's a really lovely thing, I think, about the females field. We are all quite supportive of each other in that way. Yeah, so me and this other girl did sort of bunny hopped each other for quite a long time. I was catching her on the descents and she was catching me on the climbs, until we got to feed zone 2, I think, and then we kind of split and didn't really see anyone else for the rest of the race other than the vets. It was really weird. Yeah, so feed zone 2 was where we started getting all of the really brutal climbs. So that was as much as I'd recce'd. And then all of a sudden, you got these massive, long 4-kilometre climbs that are steep and loose and 20% gradient. And it was brutal. You just don't see that from the elevation profile that you get. Yeah, and they just kept on happening and going on, and it was just a struggle to ride it. And a couple of them you couldn't ride. It was too gravelly, so you had to get off your bike and then go and sort of get off your bike and walk. Yeah, but to be fair, the descents were absolutely worth it and they were so much fun. But yeah, so frustratingly, about sort of 3/4 of the way through this race, I seemed to get like a pressure point on the bottom of my left foot, and from where the pedals were connecting to my shoes, which made descending quite a lot harder because I was having to sort of swap my feet around, try and move a bit more, try and get as much pressure off that foot as I could. And when you're sat down and pedaling, I had to really focus on smoothing out the pedal stroke rather than just powering the pedal stroke with the down, which is no bad thing. But yeah, it did mean that the thing I was thinking about most of the time was the fact that it hurt. So I think I might investigate some new insoles for those shoes just to see what that is, because my right foot's absolutely fine. It was just left foot, which is a bit weird. So yeah, that was kind of the race from there on in. Didn't really see anyone else other than the vets, and it was just sort of get through it. And I think next time I could definitely do a lot better of a job of actually attacking some of the climbs, or at least attacking near the top of them, because I got to the final feed zone and it was just one 300-metre climb up the road to then get downhill all the way to the finish. And at that feed zone, when I started going up the hill into the switchbacks, I saw someone behind me on a couple of switchbacks down. And I just realised, oh, I have to go now. So I put in quite a big 5-minute effort to get to the top, and that was, I thought it was really, it did really hurt, but it was a lot easier than I thought it should have been, which kind of implies, okay, I got my nutrition absolutely bang on and I was drinking enough water, which I think is a major thing for this race in that 30-degree heat on the exposed climbs. But also that I probably could have tried harder earlier on in the race and could have actually gone and put more effort in. So looking back, hindsight's great, isn't it? And looking back on it, you can go, oh yeah, I could have tried better there, or I could have tried better there. But all of these things are a learning experience. And this is first year racing internationally, my second year of racing. I can still count the number of marathon races I've done on one hand, I think this might be 5th. So there's a lot of learning going on, and I learned a lot from this race that hopefully I can take away and store away to know that Worlds this year is going to have a lot of climbing. They're going to be shorter than this because we just don't have hour-long climbs in the UK. But know that I can climb like that, and I can recover from it, and I can go harder than I think I can. So yeah, it was a very cool experience to feel what that is, and really useful, something I've never done before. And I'm looking forward to trying that again and doing better, and to like having a go. Yeah, I really hope they do that race again next year, because it was so different, a proper mountain biking race. And oh, the descents were amazing. I'm desperate to go back with the big bike and just have a good time. So yeah, then it was back home back to our house to recover, eat the biggest plate of mussels ever that dinner that night, which were amazing, being right by the sea. And then we ordered pizza as well, which I hadn't appreciated how big the bowl of mussels was going to be, so I only had like 2 slices of pizza. But yeah, we had a great evening, which was very, very cool. And then off to the next race in France for the European Championships. So thick and fast here, but it's exciting times.